Okay, here we are. Basically what I've done is completely taken apart a Lotus Elan 4-speed transmission, the Ford 2000E. What you see here is all the internal gears, synchros, main shafts, and lay shaft. The case is over here, and what we're doing today is basically rebuilding it. Now, from examination, what I see is that the synchros that we had and the gears and the bearings of the original unit was pretty damn good. But given that they're over 40 years old, my feeling is, what the hell, since I have them open, might as well change it. Now I'm going to do this basically in real time, but at the same time, basically, I might edit this out so it goes a little faster, so you just don't see me basically fussing about and going through the manual. But anyway, and it's fairly straightforward. Very simple unit. Again, the main shaft comes in two pieces. This is the fourth gear cluster, and as you see here, the synchro would just go right onto the fourth gear cluster like that. This is the third gear cluster, and this is the hub, okay, the synchro hub. The synchro hub basically goes between the third gear and the first gear, and this is how it applies to the gears. When the fork selector goes forward, it's in fourth gear. When it goes back, it's in third gear. Okay, enough of that. And again, you see everything that's basically laid out in front of us. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the bearing in the rear carrier and the front. The front is basically pressed on, and if we open up the package from R&D Enterprises here, okay, we got a brand new bearing, and basically spins about the same as what we had before. It has these really pain in the ass snap rings. These snap rings can only be taken off, well, not only, but are easily taken off with this special tool here. And what you do is you just go here, I don't know if you can see that, and just spread the snap ring that way, and it springs off into the mist. But luckily we have it. Okay, now the snap ring, basically you'll see it's indexed forward to the bearing, and it slides onto the bearing. It slides on like so. So basically there's no washers or anything between the fourth gear and the bearing. It just sits on there, and you can see that in the manual. And what I like to do is, I have a press that we press these things on with, but personally I like just tapping them in because it gives me a little better control with a lead hammer. And again, I'm hitting against the inner race, and I just want to make sure that's going on fairly straight. And again, with light taps, now it also helps to basically take pictures of everything as you go along, so you don't get into trouble should you misplace something. And again, I'm going extremely slow, making sure I'm not hitting the outer race, but just the inner race, and making sure that it's going in as straight as possible. Just light taps. As even as I can, and seems to be going in nicely. Going side to side, and just keep on looking at it. And most likely I'll be editing a lot of this out, so you have to sit here and watch me just gently knock this bearing in. And it's going in nicely, but albeit a little slowly. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to basically get the bearing down so it clears the groove for the snap ring. And yes, there is a snap ring. Okay, that's coming along very nicely here. I don't see any problems with this so far. Okay, we're getting there. We're almost there. Probably going to seat it home at this point. Okay, I see the snap ring groove. Looks fairly flat. A couple of more hits. Okay, and let's check the snap ring. Yep, as you see, the snap ring groove here fits perfectly, so we shouldn't have a problem installing the snap ring. Again, using your special pliers, just hit the tip, stretch it out, and voila. And in essence, you've just finished your main shaft, 4th gear. And if you can see that. Now also what I want to do is I want to position this. I'm not sure if it makes a difference or not. There's a oil hole in the shaft itself. So what I've done was basically put the snap ring where the opening for the snap ring clears that hole. So should that be of any consequence, it should have a clear bleed. Everything is nice and slippery, and it looks good. It looks good. Okay, this is the new snap ring that goes on here, but we'll place that in after we install it into the case. This is the snap ring that goes on the bearing and literally seats the bearing inside the case itself. Now inside here is this little roller cage bearing. I don't know if you can see that. Get that close in there. Now this roller bearing cage, again, I see absolutely no problem with it, but in trying to do everything correctly, it's good practice just to replace it with a new unit from R&D Enterprises. By the way, all the synchros and needle bearings and all the other bearings ran me about $250 from R&D. So what this does is that this will insert into the main shaft, the back of the main shaft, voila, like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video for now, just so I can run to the garage to get some bearing grease. I like to load these things up.